We bring greetings from the Department of Developmental Paediatrics and Child Neurology at MOSC Medical College, Kolenchery. We enter into our 10th year in September 2021. Among other projects in connection with our 10th year, the publication of Bud to Blossom was an important landmark in the history of this department. It is a collection of ideas for parents to observe their children from the time they are born till 5 years of age. This booklet covers 6 developmental domains of a child which parents can observe and make a record of the development of their child serially. They are physical growth, hearing, vision, profile of functions, behavior, and sleep. These dimensions are critical as any differences in attaining the norms expected for a particular age would call for detailed examination of a child. It is a parent-friendly collection of observations which, if done once in 3 to 4 months, most parents would be able to get to know their child and take delight in the way they are unfolding their abilities and skills. We have had parents and professionals asking us about such an observation plan to keep a track on the developmental process of children. We introduce this observation plan for under 5 children in the hope that this booklet becomes a dependable source of information for monitoring the child development process. Who else is more suitable to observe children except parents who spend considerable time with their children in the first 5 years? The Bud to Blossom begins with space for entering the measurements of the baby at birth along with a family photograph.
Let me now introduce a section in the Bud to Blossom on the physical measurements of a child from birth to 3 years. There's a place to record the head circumference, weight, height, arm span and mid-arm circumference at regular intervals. The second part in this section provides space to record all the earlier measurements when a child is between 3 and 5 years old. The booklet gives a link to watch videos uploaded in YouTube created by the department to guide the parents as to how these measurements can be done. It is a good practice for parents to carry Bud to Blossom to the immunization clinic and while visiting doctors for the professionals to observe if the physical growth falls within the norms expected for that age. What parents need would be a tape measure and an access to a weighing machine. Let me recommend that every family gets both of these affordable items at the birth of their first child.
As a speech and language professional, I am happy to suggest that the parents follow the guidelines given in the section in Bud to Blossom on hearing to observe the progress the child makes in attending to sounds and human voices from the time they are born. The process of observing hearing is demonstrated in the video uploaded by the department, the link to which is provided in the section. The observations about hearing for children till 3 years and from 3 to 5 years are separately tabulated in the section. Parents who had a preview of this section commented about the ease with which it can be done. The video demonstrates how we can make sound makers at home to use for observing the response of a child to different frequencies and loudness. Similarly, the vision of a child can be observed as suggested in the video link in the Bud to Blossom. There are suggestions to observe visual activity in children between birth to 3 years and 3 and 5 years. The observations of hearing and vision are also possible during the daily events that take place at home where a child is actively involved. The Bud to Blossom is an assistance to parents in helping them to make observations in a methodical way regularly and record them for clarity and confirmation.
Let me introduce to you the next section on profile of functions in the Bud to Blossom. The profile of functions of an under 5 child can be observed by studying 5 developmental domains: gross motor skills, fine motor skills, pre-language skills, pre-writing skills, and daily living skills. Some of these skills in this domain are listed age-wise to make it easy for parents to observe and appreciate the way a child is steadily making progress in each domain of development. The way they are described for observation in Bud to Blossom would help parents to take note of any delay in the process of development and to seek help early enough to help a child. All the domains listed under profile of functions are seminal developmental stages for a child to be school ready by 5 years of age. We commend this section to parents in the hope that it would delight you to observe your child in some details and to add to the pleasure of appreciating the wonder of childhood and creative and exploratory dimensions of a child.
The next section in the Bud to Blossom lists the details in observing a child in 7 other developmental domains. They are behavior, feeding, play, social behavior, interaction, communication, and learning. Each of these developmental domains pertains to the larger social and interactive environment in which a child grows up. Most children do not get noticed adequately in these domains as parents leave them to develop those skills on their own. However, these skills are to be introduced consciously to help children to be proficient. The opportunities we create are decisive for these domains to develop in a child. It is when we take time to observe and record them serially, parents can become aware of the areas where children would need more help and exposure to develop the skills suggested. This section is primarily to help parents to think about the global development of a child and to indicate how they can contribute to their development. It is what the mind knows the eyes would see. Let me highlight this section as a valuable guideline for parents in Bud to Blossom.
The last section in Bud to Blossom is on sleep observations. There are 2 tables on some details of sleep behavior of children ranging from birth to 24 months and from 30 months to 60 months. There is an overlap and transition between 24 months and 30 months, which is left unstated for parents to make their own observations under the same guidelines proposed. The 2 subsequent observations on sleep behavior and sleep hygiene practices are suggestions to parents to develop them as practices related to sleep. The next 2 pages on sleep behaviors and sleep hygiene practices are important foundations for parents to consider. These suggestions have a bearing on the subsequent development of sleep-wake rhythm in children. Let me suggest that if we can regulate the sleep rhythm of children, they benefit immensely in developing other functions optimally, such as behavior and cognition. Children need a different sleeping time and waking time other than what parents practice for themselves.
I want to share in conclusion is, what is the prospect of this proposal but to blossom? Our desire is that many hospitals in this country would want to offer this booklet to all parents when they leave the hospital after their child was born there. And if this can be also made available in regional languages, this can actually be a very significant step forward in promoting child development, where parents are partners with professionals in observing, monitoring, and evaluating the achievements of their children. Let me therefore wish all parents happy time observing their children and making their observations in bud to blossom. Let me commend all my colleagues and other friends who made this possible. Let this be a new chapter in the experience of monitoring child development in India.